All right, everybody, we're back with a brand new Cabral Concept. Today is episode 3267. I have a bunch of research here for you today, but what we're going to do is we're going to make it interesting. Also share with you why it's relevant, because this is the time of the year. It's one of the most popular times of the year to begin a new diet. And whenever we think of a new diet, especially in terms of weight loss, we're thinking about low carbs for the most part. So I get it. I understand it. It's been around a long time, but the problem is that if we're doing lower carb, we know that we need some calories, so we're typically getting it from higher fat and sometimes higher protein. So this can be done in a more healthily way, but the issue is that by just going kind of all in and saying, I'm low carb, I'm high fat, high protein, the long-term effects can be detrimental. And so my goal is to say, yes, let's help people lose weight, but let's do it in a way healthier way. Because by strictly going on a higher fat diet, I want to share just with some of the research that you probably haven't been shared with before, is that it can set you up for far greater inflammatory and health issues in the future. So my goal for you is to help you transform your body, but not by sacrificing your health. So let me get right into the first study. So this is so important, and I'm going to pull it all together and then, of course, share with you healthier ways to do this. So this is a particular study, consumption of 2 meals with an equivalent amount of calories, 1 high fat, 1 low fat, right? So basically, they give people a high fat meal, high fat diet, or a low fat diet. And they showed that the higher fat meal increased lipopolysaccharides, reactive oxygen species, and NF-kappa B. All right, why does this matter? On a previous show, I went over what lipopolysaccharides are. They are what I refer to, and I'll link this show up here today. So all links, all research will be at stephencabral.com/3267. So this study, the studies on lipopolysaccharides show that is literally probably the greatest health condition that nobody's talking about. So part of it has to do with leaky gut and intestinal permeability. And then a big part of it has to do with imbalanced gut microbiome. So extra bacteria, we'll call it, in the gut. And then a higher fat diet. But not only that, I'll be getting into that in one moment, a specific type of fat. So when we eat these higher fat diets, now again, I'm not against healthy fat. I'm not like in any way, shape, or form. I'm not. You've heard me talk about, I'm a proponent of the Mediterranean diet, and then you're kind of bio-individualizing that for each person, right? You don't need to eat pasta or bread. You can do a healthy Mediterranean diet without those things if you choose to. Okay, but here's what they found. That the higher fat meals increase lipopolysaccharides. So think of that as like bacteria enveloped in a sugar and fat that's brought into the bloodstream that creates then inflammation, oxidative stress, especially in all of our weak points, right? So whatever we're genetically susceptible to, thyroid or nervous system or brain or autoimmune in some way, shape, or form. It also increases reactive oxygen species and NF-kappa B. So now it's increasing what? Inflammation and free radical damage in the body, leading to imbalances like autoimmune, cardiovascular, type 2 diabetes, and potentially high blood pressure, stroke. All right, that's one study. Second study, eating a mixed breakfast with 33% calories from fat increased lipopolysaccharides in the inflammatory cytokine interleukin-6 within just 2 hours after a meal. Let's go to another study. Increased levels of the lipopolysaccharides in the blood and something called chylomicrons. All right, I'm going to be using this word a couple of times, but really what we're talking about is just transporters of fat and specific nutrients to the body. So not in a positive way. So increased levels of lipopolysaccharides in the blood and chylomicrons were found 3 hours after consumption of a 50-gram fat meal, 10 grams saturated fat, 30 grams monounsaturated, 10 grams polyunsaturated fat in obese patients. Now, keep that in mind as well, because we're going to come full circle on this. Short and medium chain triglycerides do not elevate lipopolysaccharide levels because they're absorbed directly into the portal vein and do not cause a chylomicron formation, a transporter of this type of fat. A person's body fat may also affect how lipopolysaccharides respond to fat. Check out this amazing study. In a study, only obese individuals had a higher post-meal lipopolysaccharide level after 40 grams of dietary fat compared to normal weight people. And that just means within BMI. The kilomicrons of obese people were more saturated with lipopolysaccharides than those of normal weight. I'm putting that in air quotes because that's stating the study as well. And that means within BMI, so average BMI. Similarly, another study, those with type 2 diabetes with impaired fasting glucose and obesity had elevated lipopolysaccharides in response to a high-fat meal, while lean, healthy people did not. Lipopolysaccharide levels increased by 124% in type 2 diabetic patients. Just give you one or two more studies. In another clinical study, a high saturated fat diet increased lipopolysaccharide levels compared to a high monounsaturated fat diet, a low fat or complex carb diet, and a low fat complex carb diet with high omega-3s. So this is pretty remarkable. I could go on and on, but I'm going to give you one more study. All right. In a 1 month high fat study, mostly from saturated fat, 40% of calories, so half of that saturated fat, increased lipopolysaccharide levels by 71% compared to a lower fat, high fiber diet in which lipopolysaccharide levels actually dropped by 31%. So here's what I want to share with you is that there's two culprits. One is that if you're at a healthy weight within your, we'll call it, normal BMI, 19 to 24.9, doesn't seem to be a big deal, eating 30 to 40% of your calories from fat. Now, if you go way above that, well, probably not going to be all that healthy in the long term. All right, here's the other interesting thing. It did not seem to happen unless about 50% or so were non-monounsaturated fats, particularly saturated fats. So if you got and even medium chain triglycerides is even more nuanced as well. But if you're eating things like avocados or olives or olive oil, does not seem to increase lipopolysaccharides to that same degree. And if you're increasing fiber in your diet, what's happening is, well, it's helping to trap some of these and move it through the intestines. So there's a couple big takeaways. One, if you are always listening to people on social media who are in great shape and don't seem to be dealing with any of these inflammatory conditions and just say, eat like I eat, well, it may not work for you. Because if you go on a high fat, high protein diet and you increase lipopolysaccharides and oxidative stress in the body and NF-kappa B or interleukin 6, your inflammation can go through the roof. So now you're feeling more inflamed than ever. Joint pain, fatigue, brain fog, skin rashes, autoimmune, you name it. And the reason is that you're transporting essentially bacteria through your gut wall into the bloodstream and causing an inflammation cascade. Now, again, very fascinating. People without blood sugar dysregulation and at a normal weight seem to do just fine then with, as I said, about 30 to 40% maximum from fat in their diet, and if whenever possible, more monounsaturated fats, which again would be the avocados, olive oil, and certain nuts like macadamia nut. So what I want to share with you is this, and there's actually, so here's another study. A 3-week study of a diet high in saturated fat increased blood TNF-alpha levels induced by lipopolysaccharides. However, consumption of high oleic acid, a monounsaturated fat, which by the way, oleic acid is in olive oil. It's the main constituent of why olive oil is so great for you. For 3 weeks, lowered LPS-induced interleukin 1 beta, interleukin 18, interleukin 10, and TNF-alpha. So, I mean, this is pretty in-depth, but absolutely amazing research. So what are some of the other things that you can do then if your diet's a little higher in fat? Omega-3s already showed that that's going to improve it. Higher fiber, even if you're not eating a ton of carbs, getting more fiber into your diet from vegetables, maybe some organic psyllium husk, etc., and then adding in olive oil as one of those healthy fats. So if you're going to go low carb, which is something that we use in our practice too for the first 21 days, whether it's on the functional medicine detox or the MetaVolve weight loss system, we're going to go lower carb, but we're going to use a good amount of veggies. We're not going super high in fat. We are using fats. We're using the olive oil, as I said before. We're using avocados. Some nuts and seeds are acceptable, flax, etc. And then what we're going to do is we're going to start to ease back in some lower glycemic carbs, such as your berries and other fruits like that, and then be able to work on actual blood sensitivity, carbohydrate tolerance, which is such a big thing. So if you're going low carb, stay away from your higher saturated fats. Again, I am not demonizing saturated fats. I am demonizing it if you are overweight or have blood sugar dysregularities, because the science clearly proves this out, is that it is massively inflammatory for your body. So if you have six-pack abs and you're already in great shape, all of these things, then yeah, it may not affect you as much. But the majority of the world needs help. They don't have six-pack abs, and they need to go from 35 to 40% body fat down to maybe like mid-20s, and then keep going down from there in order to improve all-cause mortality. So we can't necessarily give someone that's overweight the same diet as someone that's already in shape. And these studies clearly point that out, because if we do that, then we are not doing no harm. We are actually harming these individuals, causing a much larger inflammation-based cascade in their body, which can lead to far deeper health issues than just weight gain. So my recommendation is if you have not looked into programs that don't necessarily just cause you to slash all of your macros from one particular food group, a much better idea if you're doing a low carb diet for 3 weeks to 6 weeks and then gradually adding them back in. That can work totally well, or totally great as well. And I just recommend a lot of the fats that you do take in for your healthy fats, besides your, pastured chicken, pastured eggs, grass-fed meats, etc. You can eat beans, things like that you like. That your fats then on top of that are really your monounsaturated fats. The avocados and olive oil, your best choices hands down. Not everybody digests nuts really well, but if nuts and seeds work for you, you can certainly add in some chia, some flax, some macadamia nuts, etc. All right, so I'm going to keep it at that because I have so many shows on how to healthily lose weight that I will link up those Wednesday shows as well. So just head on over to stevencabral.com/3267. This is a great article with over 50 scientific research studies. It's by Matt Lehrer, PhD. So I'll link that up for you if you want to go a little bit deeper. You're welcome to. It doesn't give you specifics on, the right diet for you, but it does look into proper diets with people that are looking to lose weight. So I wanted to share that research. And then what I will do is I can't link up MedEvolve. I can't link up the Functional Medicine Detox, but you can find those at stevencabral.com/shop to see exactly what we use in our practice. And then if you want the full wellness plan for you and how to rebalance your metabolism and hormones, you can always run the stress, mood, and metabolism test. That I can link up here today, and it's also at stevencabral.com/shop. But of course, you don't have to work with me or my team. You can always work with an integrative health practitioner level 2, or someone that specializes in this, and they can create that one-on-one plan for you as well. All right, everybody, hopefully this was helpful. I'm wishing you all the best. If there's any questions, feel free to leave a comment. We'd be happy to get back to you. Or of course, you can always leave a question at stevencabral.com/askcabral. Take care, be well. I'll talk with you tomorrow on a new Cabral Concept. Take care, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning into today's show. Before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I want to make sure that you're getting our daily content, not missing out on anything functional medicine, wellness, weight gain, weight loss, anti-aging, living longer, stronger, and all of the most cutting-edge research. And if there's any topics you want to hear, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Take care.